Stupid. He's a punk. He's a dog. He's a pig. He's a con, a bullshit artist, a mutt who doesn't know what he's talking about, doesn't do his homework, doesn't care, thinks he's gaming society, doesn't pay his taxes. He's an idiot. Colin Powell said it best. He's a national disaster. He's an embarrassment to this country. It makes me so angry.
He is not just ignorant. He is dangerous. A man so addicted to chaos. It is as if he breathes it. Trump is not misunderstood. He is a threat, a walking, talking disaster wrapped in ego and sprayed with cheap cologne. And now, someone finally said what we were all thinking. What if I told you that the one man who ripped the mask off Trump was not a politician, but a legend of the screen? Yes, Robert De Niro stood on live television and called him out not just for his lies, but for his soul. He did not stutter. He did not soften the blow. He called Trump a pig, a mutt, a disgrace to the office. And here's the shocking part: no one in Trump's inner circle could stop him. Melania sat silent. The audience froze. Trump's reaction: a nuclear meltdown. This was not just some celebrity moment. It was a televised assassination of Trump's public persona. For the first time, Trump looked small, exposed, and scared because De Niro did what Congress never dared. He said the truth out loud with a fury that millions have bottled up for years, and in doing so, he might have ended Trump's career for good.
I'm going to say one thing. Trump.
Trump has made a career out of bullying, threatening protesters, mocking disabled people, bragging about assault, and dreaming of punching critics in the face. But what happens when someone finally punches back? De Niro did just that, not with fists, but with words that hit harder than any jab. "I want to punch him in the face," he said, and the world listened. This was not Hollywood anger, it was a warning. De Niro, like millions of Americans, is terrified by what Trump represents, a deliberate attack on democracy disguised as leadership. This is not about policy or partisanship anymore. This is about survival of truth, of decency, of the Constitution itself. Trump's rise has been powered by distraction, division, and deception, but De Niro saw through it all. He spoke for the veterans Trump mocked, the journalists he threatened, and the immigrants he demonized. The moment De Niro said it out loud, the illusion cracked. Because when someone that powerful calls Trump a fraud with nothing to lose, people pay attention. And the most chilling part, Trump knows it. He cannot ignore it, because for once, someone uncancelable dared to go for his throat, and the damage was instant, public, and irreversible.
A paid sellout for the DNC. A paid sellout to the DNC. Robert De Niro. A paid sellout. A paid sellout. A paid sellout for the DNC. A paid sellout to the DNC. Robert De Niro. A paid sellout. A paid sellout. DNC. Robert De Niro. A paid
Trump responded the only way he knows how, by melting down in public. A tweet storm, a tantrum, a PR disaster wrapped in insult after insult. He called De Niro a washed-up actor, accused him of brain damage, mocked his age, and even questioned his intelligence. But the more Trump screamed, the more he proved De Niro's point. This was textbook projection. Accuse others of the very flaws you embody. The more he barked, the more he looked like a cornered animal. But what Trump did not understand was this: De Niro was not afraid. He did not flinch. In fact, he doubled down. He dared Trump to hit back. And that is when the game changed, because this was not about petty name-calling anymore. It became a cultural reckoning. Trump was up against someone he could not cancel. Someone to beloved, to legendary, and to respected, to be destroyed. And in that clash, we saw something new. Trump's invincibility cracked for once. The emperor looked naked, and behind the bravado was not a strong man but a scared, insecure figure unraveling in real time. No amount of spin or media manipulation could put the pieces back together.
We understand that this is a political persecution. That was evidenced today. Today, by the Biden campaign themselves holding a rally here. They bring in Robert De Niro, who was shot down, but apparently he needs attention because it's been a while since he's cranked out a good movie.
De Niro's attack did not just bruise Trump, it revealed the man behind the mask. A fraud who dodged taxes, avoided military service, and used the presidency as a vending machine for his ego. De Niro laid it all bare. Trump did not read his briefings. He cozied up to dictators. He insulted allies. He dismissed science. He attacked judges. All of it came out like a flood. And the truth, it was ugly. This was not some wild rant. It was a bullet point list of betrayal. De Niro reminded America that Trump was not just unqualified, he was dangerous. That every decision he made came from a place of self-interest and cruelty, and people began to listen. Because the truth was never a secret, it was just buried under Trump's noise machine. De Niro brought it back into the light. He made it impossible to ignore. He exposed a pattern that no political spin could explain away. It was raw, it was unfiltered, and it was terrifying, because if Trump returns, he will not just repeat his mistakes, he will weaponize them. He will come back vengeful, unhinged, and more determined than ever to burn the system down with him.
We understand that this is a political persecution. That was evidenced today. Today, by the Biden campaign themselves holding a rally here. They bring in Robert De Niro, who was shot down, but apparently he needs attention because it's been a while since he's cranked out a good movie.
What made De Niro's moment even more shocking was its authenticity. There was no script, no stage, no rehearsed applause lines, just rage, honest, righteous, focused. Rage, coming from a man who had seen America change, fight wars, elect leaders, and lose its way. A man who had worked with presidents, shared rooms with giants, and still felt the need to scream. Trump is a pig. Why? Because no one else had the guts to say it. Journalists held back. Politicians played safe. Even media moguls danced around the truth. But De Niro, he dove headfirst into it. He looked straight into the camera and tore down Trump's illusion. And the silence that followed was not awkward, it was powerful. Because sometimes, truth sounds like an explosion. And in that moment, it exploded across the country. It cut through cable news chatter. It smashed through partisan walls. And suddenly, the whole nation was asking, if Robert De Niro is this angry, how bad is it really? What does he know that we are still trying to ignore? And that single question rattled the foundations of Trump's carefully built empire of lies.
I don't mean to scare you. No, wait, maybe I do mean to scare you. If Trump returns to the White House, you can kiss these freedoms goodbye that we all take for granted. And elections, forget about it. That's over. That's done. If he gets in, I can tell you right now, he will never leave. He will never leave. You know that. He will never leave. What does that mean? Is that the country we want to live in? Do we want him running this country and saying, I'm not leaving, I'm dictator for life?
Trump's panic was immediate and loud. He jumped to Truth Social, unleashed more attacks, and called De Niro a disgrace. He mocked him for needing a teleprompter. He accused him of being a puppet for Democrats. But every insult just proved De Niro's words were true. Trump was rattled badly. Because what De Niro represented was Trump's worst nightmare, someone who does not play by his rules, who cannot be bought, bullied, or branded as fake news. De Niro's voice carried weight, not just because of who he is, but because of what he exposed: Trump's fear of truth. That is why this moment mattered. For the first time, Trump's spin machine failed. The ridicule he threw bounced back harder. The media echoed De Niro's words, social media flooded with support, and most importantly, even some Republicans paused. Because behind Trump's fury was a truth he could not hide. De Niro saw right through him, and millions of Americans did too. What used to be brushed off as Trump being Trump now looked like what it truly was: a meltdown from a man who finally saw his armor cracking, live in front of the entire nation.
In my country, we're fighting like hell for the democracy we once took for granted. And that affects all of us. That affects all of us here because the arts are democratic. Art is inclusive. It brings people together. Like tonight, art looks for truth. Art embraces diversity. And that's why art is a threat. That's why we are a threat to autocrats and fascists. America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions. He has cut funding and support to the arts, humanities, and education. And now he has announced a 100% tariff on films produced outside the U.S. Let that sink in for a minute. You can't put a price on creativity, but apparently you can put a tariff on it. Of course, this is unacceptable. All these attacks are unacceptable, and this isn't just an American problem, it's a global one. Unlike a film, we can't just all sit back and watch. We have to act, and we have to act now. Without violence, but with great passion and determination. It's time for everyone who cares about liberty to organize, to protest, and when there are elections, of course, to vote. Vote. Tonight and for the next 11 days, we show our strength and commitment by celebrating art in this glorious festival. Liberté, égalité, fraternité.
And the irony is bitter. Trump rose to power on lies and distractions, but it was honesty that shook him the most. De Niro did not bring scandals. He brought facts. He reminded us Trump mocked prisoners of war, dodged the draft, bragged about sexual assault, and praised the January 6th rioters. This was not exaggeration. It was on record. And the country gasped not because they had never heard it, but because they forgot how horrifying it all sounded when said without filters. De Niro stripped away the spin, and in doing so, he reignited a national memory dulled by fatigue. People remembered the chaos, the cruelty, the fear. They saw the pattern. And once that light bulb flicked on, it was impossible to turn off. De Niro forced Americans to confront the truth they had grown numb to. He made them ask, how did we let this happen? That shift, from denial to awakening, was devastating for Trump. Because once people see the real monster, they do not unsee it, and no amount of rallies, slogans, or gold-plated promises could rebuild the image that De Niro shattered.
America's Philistine president has had himself appointed head of one of our premier cultural institutions. He has cut funding and support to the arts, humanities, and education. And now he has announced a 100% tariff on films produced outside the U.S. Let that sink in for a minute. You can't put a price on creativity, but apparently you can put a tariff on it. Of course, this is unacceptable. All these attacks are unacceptable, and this isn't just an American problem, it's a global one. Unlike a film, we can't just all sit back and watch. We have to act, and we have to act now. Without violence, but with great passion and determination.
Even Trump's most loyal defenders felt the tremor. They may not admit it publicly, but behind the scenes, they were scrambling. And what about Melania? Her silence screamed louder than any statement. While De Niro ripped Trump to shreds, she was nowhere, not in courtrooms, not in speeches, not beside him. Her absence became the most revealing betrayal of all. Because when your own wife will not defend you, the empire is rotting from within. And De Niro made that rot visible. He did not just attack Trump's politics. He exposed the decaying illusion of strength that Trump sold for years. He showed that even those closest to him are fleeing. That the man who claimed he could fix everything is now broken, isolated, and spiraling. And America, finally, is watching it happen in real time. No spin, no Fox News edits. Just a raw unraveling, because you can silence the media. You can threaten politicians, but you cannot silence the truth when it comes from someone like De Niro. His voice pierced the walls of Trump's cult, and now the cracks are starting to spread.
His former chief of staff, General Kelly, reminded us that Trump admires Hitler and ridicules our American troops who died for us. He mumbles, he stumbles, and blubbers on, exhibiting clear signs of dementia. He promoted the Project 2025 agenda. That's all in 1 week. All in 1 week. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris has plans, real plans, not concepts of plans. She's got a plan to help workers and the middle class with an opportunity economy. She'll lower their taxes. Trump will raise them. He says it all the time. He's going to raise them for his rich friends. A plan to be the president for all Americans. Seems like a clear choice, right? Election day is upon us. We can't let up now. It's time to make one final push and elect Vice President Harris and Democrats up and down the ballot.
What is most terrifying is not what Trump did, it is what he promises to do next. De Niro called it out. Revenge, retribution, authoritarian rule. Trump has said it himself. He wants mass deportations. He wants to jail political opponents. He wants to control the Justice Department like a mafia boss, and if re-elected, he will. De Niro's speech was not performance, it was prophecy. A roadmap of what happens when a delusional egomaniac is handed unchecked power. History has seen this movie before, and it always ends the same, with freedoms crushed and power abused. De Niro begged us to see it before it is too late, because Trump is not joking. He never was. The threats are real, the consequences permanent. If this country lets him back in, there might not be a second chance. And De Niro said it the way it needed to be said, without sugarcoating, without filters, without fear. That is why his words echoed, because they were not political. They were a warning from someone who has lived long enough to know what happens when good people stay silent. And this time, silence is not an option.
This might have been the first time he wrote about you. Robert De Niro, a very low IQ individual, has received he spelled two wrong, many shots to the head by real boxers in movies. I watched him last night, truly believe he may be punch drunk, and then he says, at the end, he says, "Wake up, punchy," he says to you. And that's not the only time, and he moved over to Truth Social. Robert De Niro, whose acting talents have greatly diminished with his reputation now shot, must even use a teleprompter for his foul and disgusting language. So disrespectful to our country. Now, in all fairness to the former president, is that true? Do you have to use a teleprompter when speaking about President Trump? Or are you able to just kind of riff on your thoughts on him?
Yeah, he's so stupid.
Most brutal truth, Trump is unraveling. The man who once boasted about dominating every room now paces behind closed doors, angry, erratic, afraid. De Niro's words went viral, not because they were shocking, but because they were real. They told the world what it already suspected, but was too afraid to say out loud. Trump is not strong. He is weak. He is not smart. He is reckless, and he is not a leader. He is a threat to everything America stands for. That truth is now spreading. Faster than any lie he can tweet, his fake strength has cracked. And now the world sees the frightened man underneath. A man desperate to hold onto power, not to serve but to shield himself from consequences. De Niro's voice reminded us that truth still matters, that courage still exists, and that if we do not act now, we may never get another chance. This is not about Trump versus De Niro. This is about America versus collapse, and De Niro lit the fuse. What happens next? That is up to us. But one thing is clear, if Trump returns, he will not just finish what he started, he will finish democracy itself.
We're in a very bad situation. I remember you and I about 5-6 years ago talking. I'm down at the Spring Studios, something about, I said, what just happened, just happened. No, it didn't. It didn't happen. It's all about truth. And what we have here is a denial of truth all over the place. And even the speech that he made after is insane. It's just insane, and I'm very, very concerned about it. I think we all are. It's insane. So that's why I felt I had to do something, say something about it, to go on record.
What De Niro exposed is not just Trump's character. It is the entire illusion that has protected him for years. The illusion that power equals competence, that noise equals strength, that wealth equals intelligence. De Niro shattered that by pointing out the raw truth. Trump is a loud man terrified of silence. A rich man haunted by insecurity, a leader who needs enemies to survive. And that is what made his reaction so telling. He did not issue a dignified rebuttal. He threw a tantrum. He ranted on Truth Social, called De Niro irrelevant, and demanded networks blacklist him. The irony, every insult only proved De Niro right. The more Trump barked, the smaller he looked, and the public noticed. Twitter lit up. Newsrooms replayed the footage in loops. Even Republicans shifted uncomfortably. Because De Niro's attack was not political, it was personal, and that made it lethal. He spoke from the gut, not a script, and in doing so, he gave language to what millions have felt but cannot articulate, that Trump is not just wrong, he is unfit. And when that truth is spoken loudly enough, even the most hardened cult followers begin to look away, if only for a moment.
Do you think our democracy is at risk in this election?
I think that it is. I always keep saying democracy is great, of course, but democracy people take for granted. It's a word that some people don't even understand. They take it for granted. It's about right and wrong, period. The guy's a monster. He is beyond wrong. It's almost like he wants to do the most horrible things that he can think of in order to get a rise out of us. I don't know what it is, but he's been doing it, and it's scary.
Are you
Excuse my French.
The most frightening thing about Trump is not just what he says, it is how many people pretend he did not say it. That is the poison De Niro tried to drag into the light. Trump talks about violence like it is a punchline. He calls his enemies vermin, praises dictators, and jokes about locking up rivals. These are not slips of the tongue. They are deliberate signals to a base trained to cheer cruelty. And that is where De Niro's attack struck deepest, not at Trump, but at the culture that worships him, a culture addicted to outrage, allergic to truth, and desperate to feel powerful by making others feel afraid. De Niro reminded the world that silence is complicity, that every time Trump opens his mouth and decent people say nothing, the darkness spreads a little more. He called out the bystanders, the politicians too cowardly to confront him, the media too obsessed with ratings to challenge him, and the voters too numbed by chaos to care. It was not a performance, it was a reckoning, a public intervention, because Trump may crave power, but De Niro holds something even stronger, credibility. And that truth, once spoken, cannot be unsaid.